welcome to the Good News Freedom Show. Again, I am your host, Brother James Deaton, and as you can tell, we've got my mama, we've got Tyler, and we've got Andy here with us. And here in a little bit, we're going to be having an interview with a young lady from Cincinnati, Ohio. So, if y'all will, we're going to sing. Oh my goodness, we're just going to sing this song. So y'all pray for us. I got a message this morning. Oh, a loved one was found. Sickness had come. No cure could be found. They sent out a plea. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good News Freedom Show. I am your host, Brother James Deaton. As you can tell, we have a guest. We've got Miss Faith Torres with us from Cincinnati, Ohio. We're going to talk to her a little bit, but we're going to do as we do every week. We are going to read a verse from the Bible, and we're going to start at the Gospel of John, chapter 1, starting at verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of man. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. We're just so thankful for that in a world today where it is full of darkness,
yes.
With the light of Jesus, we can still stand out and we can still shine. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you've all watched any TV or been on Facebook this last week, you see where the guy was hurt in the football game, and how people prayed for him, and how that the Lord has, man, he had a heart attack during the game, and they had to perform CPR and bring the defibrillator out and get his heart started back again. But we're just so thankful that everybody praying for him, that he's got the tube out and he's able to talk to his teammates, his family, and we're so thankful for that. But we have Miss Faith Torres. She is a New York City girl.
Yes.
I'm telling you, we've been talking quite a bit here for the last 3 weeks or so,
Yes.
and I'm absolutely amazed by her story of, I'm going to let her tell you the story, but she is from New York City, and she was there on 9/11, and it blows my mind to hear about that. So if you would, share with us. We're going to go to your story a little bit later. Now, you were born and raised in New York?
Yes, born and raised, yeah. Bronx,
Okay,
New York.
and what was life like growing up in New York?
It was a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
A little bit good, a little bit bad, a little bit fun, a little bit scary. You know, it's a little bit of everything, but it teaches you. It's a fast-paced environment,
Yeah.
and I'm actually thankful that I got to, experience and come from, a fast-paced, very, get it while it's hot kind of city.
Yeah.
City that never sleeps.
Yeah.
Big Apple. But it's a lot, but it's also, it's a breath of fresh air to see how big and beautiful our world is, and there's better places than just New York City.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've only been to the airport, and I wasn't too impressed with the airport. But, just to fly over, like when you're flying into the city at nighttime and you see all the lights and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It's
you
beautiful.
it's gigantic
Yeah,
too,
it's gorgeous. Right.
But and that's what I've said. I've always been, okay, I've got Columbus and Cincinnati and Cleveland and Detroit. There's big cities around here, but still,
Right.
there's nothing, when you say, let's go to Cleveland or New York, I would love to go to New York and just see what it's like. Now, when you're growing up in New York, you've told me the story about your dad, how he's the one that sort of, even though, he wasn't a religious man, he kept you close to Christ if he could, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, he did. He tried the best he could. I know he wasn't big on, us thinking that there was anything like Santa Claus coming down the chimney, and he always reminded us that it wasn't about Christmas. Christmas was not about Santa or chimneys.
Yeah.
It was about Jesus Christ. Yes, amen. It was about Jesus, and it was about the Lord.
Right.
And it was about our family.
Right.
And being thankful that we are together, and not only about the gifts under the tree, and some man named Saint Nick dressed up in a suit coming down our chimney.
Right.
My father was very firm in his belief that was nonsense, and the real truth, was December 25th was named after Christ. It was named after the birth of Christ. Even though if you really research history, it has nothing to do with Jesus' real birth. His real birth wasn't on December 25th.
Right.
But, to save a lengthy story, because I've learned through my journey, that a lot of the stuff that we believe is pagan.
Right.
A lot of it comes from dark cultures, and, so. But, the majority of the time that I was a child and I was growing up, my dad was kind of very straightforward, Vietnam veteran kind of guy.
Yep.
Grew up where there was a time in New York where it wasn't always so pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of division amongst the communities, and you don't see so much of it now, but back then it was very relevant. It was something that was relevant in the community.
Right.
Everyone kind of knew it existed, and everyone knew it was there.
Right.
There was always that great divide, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm thankful, that I got to see the best of both worlds, I
Yeah.
guess you can say. I mean, my family, we pretty much grew up in Castle Hill. We grew up in Throgs Neck, Fordham, Jerome, pretty much everywhere in the Bronx, the South Bronx,
Right.
Pelham Parkway, Bay Plaza, There's beautiful places, and then there's not so beautiful places,
Yeah.
and that's everywhere.
Yeah.
That's everywhere.
Yeah.
Even in Cincinnati, I go to pretty places, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, this reminds me of New York
Yeah.
over here,
Yeah.
or this, so it's everywhere. It's
Yeah.
just what you make it, and I'm just thankful that God took me out of there in
Yeah.
time.
Now, okay, so what was it that drew you to the Lord? Was it because of your dad, or was it because somebody else you had met or known?
It was someone else that I
Right.
met, because I got saved in 2004.
Right.
So I wasn't I wasn't in a religious family,
Yeah.
which I'm kind of grateful I wasn't in a religious family, because religious religion can get a little messy.
Yeah.
We don't want to do too much religion, because that becomes repetitive practice.
Right.
And thinking that a repetitive practice is going to bring us closer. There's no good works
Right.
that we do
Yep.
is going to bring us any closer or make us
That's right.
any more favorite of God than Jesus already paid it all on the cross.
Yeah.
So no good work I can do, nothing I
Yep.
can do, or nothing anyone can do can outshine Christ or
Yeah.
outshine or impress God.
Yeah.
Because God's not impressed.
He said our righteousness is as filthy rags to him.
Right.
I had a preacher,
Right.
we had a preacher, he said one of the most astonishing things I think I ever heard. Okay, our righteousness to Jesus, or to God, is as filthy rags.
Right.
But when the woman had the issue of blood and she needed to be healed,
Mm-hmm.
all she needed to do was touch the hem of his garment. So you can take the dirtiest part of Jesus' clothing, touch it, and be 100% healed.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, but then you
Isn't
can't
that
take our
something?
righteousness is worth
Wow.
is nothing to him. So I
Right.
just found that amazing when he said all the years I'd heard that story, the way that he put that into perspective was just blew my mind.
Yes, absolutely.
So now when you were in New York City during 9/11.
I had left
Okay,
previously
right, okay.
before 9/11.
Yeah.
I was supposed to work
Right.
next door to the Twin Towers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was supposed to start the year before it hit. Like, I was scheduled to start.
Right.
I prolonged it, and then I decided not to take the job.
Right.
And then after that, I had moved away.
Yeah.
I had moved out of New York City, out of Connecticut, into Providence, Rhode Island,
Okay.
which is the famous corrupt state of them all. But yeah, the most
The reason
corrupt
I'm looking
state
at
of
Andy.
them all.
Andy just went on vacation to Rhode Island.
Oh,
So
did he?
yeah.
I mean, what a coincidence
Yeah,
is that?
so,
That's pretty crazy. So yeah, little old Rhodey, Providence, Rhode Island. Yeah, they're a hot mess. Tell them to be careful on those highways.
Okay.
Yeah, they're hot.
See, and he sent me a message. He was going to Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Boy, he said ROAD, and island. I thought, okay, so what island is he going to, or he's going to have to need a road?
Yeah,
Because
you
if
do
it's
need
an,
a
if
road
it's
in
an
Rhode
island,
Island.
if it's an island,
'Cause
there can't
their
be no
roads
road
are a
to it.
mess.
And then I finally figured it out. It was Rhode Island he was going to. Yeah, but that's where he just went to vacation back in July or September, or something
Well, yeah,
like
because
that.
they have beautiful, a lot of nice beaches, Narragansett, Cape Cod.
Yeah.
We have a lot. There's a little port over there. It's a pretty state. It's historical. It's one of the oldest states. So, but very heavily tied to a lot of nonsense.
Yeah.
That I would prefer to change, but
Right. And now, I think when we was talking, what intrigued me the most about you was a lot of women, and I think this is a problem in our world today, where we don't have men that want to be men and women want to be women. I mean, the Bible tells us that, woman was made for man, that she should be in submission. And folks, when I say be in submission to your man, I'm not talking be a slave to him. Okay? I have a mother that is, on a good day, she is 5 foot tall. Okay? I mean, on a good day. And she will tell you on a good day that she's 5'1". Okay? If you're standing next to her, you know there ain't no way. But anyway, She was 5'1". We'll say 5 foot, and my dad was close to 6 foot. Now, in my house, my dad was the boss,
Right.
but he was not a slave owner. Okay, he loved her and she loved him. Now, there was times where he would get these silly notions that I am the slave owner. I am going to tell her what to do. And it's so funny how someone this tall has somebody this tall wrapped totally around his finger. Okay, and now, like, she wanted to take us to Michigan one time, and he says, "You're not allowed to go." Well, when he got home and he called her in Michigan, he said, "Maybe I said that wrong." She said, "Yeah, maybe you did." You know, so it's not. We're not saying that. And I've talked to people about this before. I was married at the time, and we had some friends over, and the guy says, "Do you ever do the dishes?" Well, yeah. You know, sometimes I cook the dinner, and I do the dishes too.
Right.
I said, "Do you?" He goes, "Well, no. You know what the good book says." I said, "No, I don't know what the good book says about that." So I said, "Tell me," and he did. I'm like, "Dude, that's not submission." I said, "That's slavery." You know, and I said, "There's a difference." But we were talking about, like, in this country that we're living in, where if you want to be a man and you want to talk about being a man, you can get in trouble. When you're a woman and you want to be I've just never seen a state
You're getting
where,
in trouble for everything now. Even if you're a woman and want to talk about being a woman, they are now blurring the lines as to what is a woman, because anyone who wears a wig and lashes is now considered a woman.
right?
You know, whereas to a woman, to me, by our genetic makeup, a woman is someone that can procreate,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That actually has a uterus.
yeah,
Not someone that's
Yeah.
playing dress up.
yeah,
You know, and that's another thing. They're blurring the lines between, what is a woman.
yeah,
A woman is anyone who wants to put on a wig and lashes and a dress.
yeah,
And we can call that a woman.
yeah.
But a woman is far beyond vanity or looks
Yeah.
or hair, wig, lashes, and a dress.
Well, see, this is another thing. Like, if I was a woman in today's world and I was a woman athlete, and I had a man that was able to swim against me and win because he thinks he's a woman, I would throw a fit. I mean, yeah,
What about the MMA fighter?
yeah.
Who was a man.
That
who
should have never
put
happened.
her in a coma.
Yeah, that should have never
after
happened. You
giving
know,
her a 2-piece to the cranial,
And-
to the head.
and it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, we're to a point where we allow this.
Right.
Well, I take that back. We don't allow it. It's where these sanctioning bodies of these organizations, they allow it to happen, which
Right.
just absolutely blows my mind.
Well, because they're blurring the lines, and they're doing that with intention to manipulate procreation,
Yeah,
to manipulate gender,
yeah,
and to manipulate, the marriage bed, and what God created,
Right.
which was the man, the woman, and the child.
right.
What better way to distort God's creation than to blur the lines, than to tell girls they need to, be independent, leave the house, and do all these extra things. You have to be the breadwinner, and you have to be the mother, and you have to be the housewife, and you have to be all these things.
Right.
Whereas to the man was removed out of the household and given no accountability as to, okay, just pay child support, right?
Yeah.
Because that was the first thing.
Right.
They started it with, common law child support.
Yeah.
Because that's how it all came crashing down. Once they took, you don't have to be married. We'll just call it common law.
Yeah.
And you can stay shacked up as long as you've been shacked up for over
Right.
3 years. Well, depending on some states,
Yeah.
it's 5. Some states, it's 3. And you have children in common. We'll consider it common law marriage. And that's it. It's a done deal. But it doesn't hold anybody to a covenant. It doesn't hold anybody to, accountability. It gives people freedom to do as they wish.
Yep.
It gives the man the right to leave whenever he wants. And then all he has to do is pay a small amount of child support, which, in fact, if the mom is not working, the state's not going to give her the child support.
Right.
They're going to take that and pocket it.
Yeah.
So it's a vicious system of how can we divide the family and continue to steal money and keep them in poverty, keep the family unit dysfunctioning, because when you have a dysfunctioning family, you don't have productive children. You have children that are missing counterparts, whether if it's the mom or the dad. Nowadays you have both. Nowadays it's not only the dad missing. Now it's mom.
Right.
Because either mom is working, or in this day and age you have a lot of women trying to keep up with the Joneses and the Kardashians, and they're out there in the club and they want to be twerking and they want to be doing the BBLs in Miami.
Right.
So they're not even mothering, and motherhood has become something everyone's put on the back burner because it's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
We'll just find a babysitter because it's cooler for me to go to Miami and get a BBL. Or to do alterings to my body to make myself look more sexually attractive for the next person.
Right.
Because there's no more commitment to just one person
Right.
or one woman or one man, vice versa. Men are doing the same thing. Oh, I can have this baby mama and I can have my side chick, what they say now, right? The side chick, the side piece. That's the whole new lingo, right? Everything's a side this, a side that. And, society has, it has disintegrated, and it's down to basically the ashes of what was, of what used to be, and it's not there anymore, so, and we don't have accountability on either side.
Right.
We don't have accountability for the dads, and we don't have any accountable dads that are cultivating the moms, so therefore the moms are not accountable.
Right.
So moms are like, well, he's not doing it, why should I?
Yeah.
And it goes right back to the man being the leader.
Yeah.
Because if the man is cultivating, then the woman has no choice but to fall into place with that cultivating man, because the man is the leader. He sets the tone.
Right.
But if the man is either he's lacking, whether if it's accountability, whether if it's lacking God, lacking his own role model in what a man, because, everybody, you got a lot of these brothers, I want to be a father to my kid. How are you going to be a father if you couldn't be a husband?
Right.
Because God's law requires that you are a husband first. You have to cultivate the wife first.
Yeah.
Then you cultivate the family. Just the same way how God wants the house of the body of Christ to work. It says a man should not leave the church if his house is not in God's order.
Yep.
Because if his house is not in God's order, how is he going to keep God's house in God's order?
Yep.
So it goes right back to the men also. We need to start shepherding our men. We don't have any good shepherds no more. We don't have classic men that are like, let me show you how it is to be a man. We don't have that old school stuff anymore.
Yep.
We don't have that. Let me teach you how to change a tire. Let me teach you how to open the door. Bring her a rose. Bring her a flower. There's no more of that.
Yep. Or put a belt on to hold your pants up.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's simple.
Yeah, like don't let everybody know you're wearing Calvin Klein's today, or Hanes on Wednesday, Calvin Klein's on Thursday.
Right.
Cut it out.
Yeah. It's just simple stuff like that, Yeah. Yeah, and
it's really bad.
Yeah. But okay, now I'm.
And even marriage is disposable too.
Oh yeah.
Marriage is very disposable. Everyone is like married on Tuesday, divorced on like Saturday, or divorced on the first Monday. They can get a court date.
There you go. and then
it's really sad.
I mean, I love our country. Okay, don't get me wrong. I love our country, and I think the reason I'm not bad mouthing our country. I'm not bad mouthing my country. I'm just I'm bad mouthing what we have allowed to go on in our country.
Yes.
How you can be a homosexual and you can marry a man can marry a man and a woman can marry a woman. Right there, somebody, we had a presidential candidate the last time around, and I mean he was hanging in there. He could have won.
Right.
If somebody wouldn't have taken him aside and said you need to stop, he could have given him a run for the money.
Right.
And that just makes me think, what does that tell the rest of the world when we allow something like that to happen? I mean, you read in, like, now I check up on other countries and stuff, like, some countries will not allow bringing, homosexual materials into their countries.
A lot of them are not for it. I
And
know
it's
Kenya's big on it.
Yeah.
Kenya is very big on it. There's a couple of other countries that are big on it, too. I think Russia's one of them, too.
Yeah.
Russia's kind of big on that. You know, you have a lot of conservative countries that are still very conservative. Jamaica was one of them.
Yeah.
Jamaica was recently protesting against the American government because they were fighting against the LGBT books
Yeah.
being brought into their school systems. And they were saying how that's an abomination.
Yep.
They don't believe in it, and they don't want it taught to their children.
It's money.
And it is.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's money.
And it's population control.
Yeah.
You know, because if you have women marrying women, you're not having women bearing fruit.
You saw the people that came in here before when you came
Right.
in.
You're not having children, which was what God designed us to do.
There's 6
right?
of them. There was 5
Right.
girls and 1 boy.
Right, 5 girls, 1 boy.
And I told them, I would hate to be you when those girls are older. And Dad and Mom both said, "Oh, we know how to use shotguns." I said, "Okay, that works." You know what I mean?
That works until she knows how to unload it and
Yeah.
say, "Oh, Daddy's gonna use a shotgun on my boyfriend Ray.
Right.
So let me unload it because Ray's coming over, Dad."
Yeah. So, but
Yeah. I think the best move is, you know, we need to go back to kind of like teaching our kids that there's nothing wrong with liking the opposite sex. Whereas when I was coming up, it was very like, you know, you're too young, or you have plenty of time for that. And I think that is what hinders us, because if you go back to like even Jewish tradition, men were celebrated at 13 during their bar mitzvahs to become grown men, to step into that calling of young manhood. You know, you're a young man now, and you're stepping into the manhood, you know, adulthood. We don't value teaching our kids that. We baby our kids a little bit too much. We keep them, oh, you know, you're only 13, you have plenty of time, but then we wonder why we have teenage pregnancies at 13, 14, because we're not treating them as the young adults that they are already turning into by the time they're 13, 14, 15, 16. We need to start prepping them at those ages before the school system starts prepping them and teaching them, oh, hey, you guys can use condoms. You guys can do this. You guys can use birth control. Your parents don't have to know, because that's what the guidance counselors in our public schools are being taught. We don't have to let the parents know, because the children's confidentiality and their safety is more important than parents knowing the truth. And that's also blurring the lines, because how can we teach our kids right from wrong if we don't know what's happening behind our backs in the schools? You know, so that's another red flag that we have to start looking into. When do we start talking to our children about healthy relationships between a man and a woman? It starts when they're 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. Before they start feeling those feelings like, oh, I like him, or I like her, you know, and then they go too far with experimenting. But if we courtship them early, if we teach them, you know, start, oh, you like this person, okay, well, let's do mommy daddy day, and let's all take these kids out, you know, and start courting them correctly, you know, chaperone them correctly, feed and give them, you know, good information when they're feeling these feelings. How do we teach these kids how to do things correctly, as opposed to running around behind your back, or getting pregnant, or, you know, sneaking around and doing this stuff? How can we allow our children to be healthy, because they don't have healthy relationships, and they're not being taught healthy relationships in school. So
we're out of time.
Okay.
Didn't that half hour fly by?
And just like
Okay. All right, folks, we're out of time for this week. We will have her back again. We will talk some more. But as we tell you every week, be good to each other on purpose. God bless you all, and Lord willing, we'll see you next week.
God bless you.
Bye.
Amen.